Recruiting-ish. Web3. World-class podcast. Let's get it, let's go. The topics of discussion you cannot get from another. Opportunities in Web3, we got you covered. Metaintro, been dope. Gotta thank you for the love and support that you give it. Keep it coming. We going up in jet speeds, interviews with the crews, making moves. Let's see, it's a brand new world of NFTs. Join in Recruiting-ish podcast, yes please. Join in Recruiting-ish podcast, yes please. Metaintro does not give financial advice. Information provided by Metaintro is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. Always do your own research on the companies that you apply to and the opportunities that you invest in.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Recruiting-ish podcast. Happy New Year, 2023. Cannot believe we are already here, but we are back with more crypto news and headlines to cover. My name's Alex, your crypto recruiter. I'm here with Lacey and Nick from the Metaintro team, and we're here to cover a ton of the craziness, a ton of the headlines going on in the space. First of which, Coindesk has released their 2022 report. Pretty detailed, covers quite a lot of different stuff. I mean, everything from macro environment, breaking it down into Bitcoin, ETH, the technology side, hiring, covers a lot. What have you guys thought after reviewing it?
Well, this document was massive. I don't know if you actually read through the entire report. I think there were like 50 plus pages or so. So at least for me, I scrolled through the entire report until I stopped on the venture slide. Naturally, that was like what I was gravitated towards. Just being curious about how much venture has been pumped into the space over the past 2 years. Really, you saw this like I wish I had the report up in front of me to tell you what page it was, but you see back all the way to like 2015, 2014, where it's just like a few billion here and there. And then all of a sudden you see this massive spike, obviously about 2 years ago. And last year, there was a ton of venture that was pumped into the space as well. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
My immediate take is it's really hard to look at some of these charts and just not say to yourself that it looks just like a crypto chart. Like it looks just like Bitcoin itself, right? I think we could say the same thing even like with Coinbase stock and like a lot of this stuff. My big takeaway is like basically that, like, is it going to continue looking like a crypto chart? And if that's the case, like what that means, right? Because obviously there's a lot. I mean, it's actually page 21, Lacey. I have it here in front of me. So it looks like 2021, you've got $23.1 billion pushed into as a venture capital. And then 2022, even more at 29, right? So like, if we're taking that hypothesis seriously, I guess we would see maybe like a delay this year be a little bit less. Next year might be around the same. But then if history kind of pans out the way that it might trend, I mean, I'm really, really speculating here, but I mean, the numbers are massive and it's going to look, just like even more exponentially like it was in the dot-com bubble.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say, if you look like the 2017, 2018, 19, 20, I feel like that's how it's going to go, right? Like we're going up, we might level down a little bit, maybe plateau. And then when this kicks back off, it's going to be pretty massive. I think the funding is going to go insane just with what's out there. I think what's interesting though, in hearing about like other industries, I mean, AI is pulling lots of money, right? I mean, I think people are pivoting into AI to maybe get some money or, try something new. And it's going to be interesting to see, how can crypto compete with another emerging technology that, it hasn't had to compete with before. Obviously, two different things, but some of the same players are now allocating checks one direction versus the other. So if the winter lasts as long as it does, I don't know, where's the money going to be going?
I've been, granted, we're only 2 weeks into January, so it's tough to really speculate, but I have a few friends that are out raising capital right now that are in the Web3 space, and it's tough. They're raising their seed round, so they've already raised, $500,000, maybe $1 million, and finding those lead investors for that next round has been tough for them. Granted, we're coming back from the holidays. January is always a really slow month to go out and raise capital. Usually you see people hit the ground running in February and funds starting to deploy checks. I was out last weekend with the investment fund that led our pre-seed round, and a natural question was like, what kind of startups are you seeing come across your desk right now? What kind of pitches are you seeing? And then on the flip side, as an investment fund, where are you deploying your capital right now? What are you excited about? Has the market affected your check sizes? And for them, they're a Web3 focused fund, and their answer was pretty genuine in the moment, just coming right off of that question, which was, we're just doubling down on what we know best, what we're most excited about. And for them, every fund is different, but they're most excited about the infrastructure tools. And so on the flip side, they are seeing a ton of projects that are out raising capital right now. They're seeing less like NFT projects, less DAO projects, and more like infrastructure tooling. So, maybe out of this bear market, we're going to see, obviously everything that's happened over the past 90 days has been awful to watch, but out of the ashes come the builders and the people that are passionate about fixing Web3 problems, and making a better foundation for the next wave of people to onboard. So I think, long story short, I think over the next year, we're going to see a lot of builders build, which means that there's going to be open vacancies for senior level people, like founding teams. So all of that wrapped into a nice bow.
I think it's interesting because I almost want to quickly take it to the next topic that we have here, because it kind of like flows in really nicely. But basically what you're saying is like no one's stopping working, right? Given like this market, right? So first of all, what I would love to see, and I should have like ran a CB Insights report or something here. I would love to see what this chart of venture money over like pivoted on top of just standard like Web 2, or just like all venture capital, like what are like the percentages that are actually getting moved over to Web 3. We can kind of see in this other, so Electric Capital, they just released their developer report maybe a couple weeks ago. And my favorite chart of it, I love the chart of Bitcoin hash rate versus like the price, right? Because it's never really in line, right? Like the Bitcoin network's always working more than like what it's priced at. And we can even see the same thing here with the actual people, right? So we can see developer activity in crypto it's going the opposite direction as like the price, right? So it's almost as if like people are coming here to, the price kind of attracts people, but then it does not scare them away, right? So if that, if the investors that you're speaking to or the ones looking for funding are speaking truly, then yeah, I mean, if basically is the venture money going to look like the labor and hash rate, or is it going to look like the price? That's kind of like my big question for the next year. And I think we're going to see the answer.
Yeah, I think it'll also be interesting to see the foundations over the next few months, and seeing if they're deploying capital at the rate that they were over the past year. If you follow Metaintro, you'd know that early on in our journey, we raised a grants round from Near and Ave, and the process was like relatively simple. I mean, in terms of raising capital in general, that was a very simple process. But it was right before the first crash in June. So you had these funds that were super bullish on getting all of these builders to come into their ecosystem to build. And they had the cash to be able to support that, or they had the crypto to be able to support that. And that's such an easy way to get your project off the ground. That's an easy way to get capital to hire. And so it'll be interesting over the next few months to see if those foundations are cracking down on the companies that they've invested in, and if they're actively deploying more crypto into the ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think all in all, right, like all these charts tell the story that like crypto is definitely not dead, right? Like the industry, regardless of price, is moving. And I think, the Web 2 layoffs are going to push more people into Web 3 and crypto. I think that will be an interesting chart to see from both the tech and non-tech side. If you're hiring right now, there is a ton of top talent out there. And it's kind of funny. Some people are moving out of crypto that were in it and have gotten burned, but I feel more people are excited by it. It's still lasting through. And again, developers are attracted to new technology. So where's that going to go? I think the cool other graph that I'd love to see that the Coindesk article put together, which was pretty crazy to look back on, was like the 2022 recap of all the events and the crashes and the bankruptcies. Some people have put those, they put those over like a chart of price and a chart of other things, and you just realize how much has happened in 12 months. And again, we're still here. People are still building. Price is up somewhat today as we're recording this. We'll see where it goes when we release it. But it's a testament to just, I think, the industry and the people that are building, like you said.
Drama in this industry.
It never stops, I feel like. I mean, I still, not to be pessimistic, but there's still a lot of unknown with what's, going on with a few players. I think, not to name names, but there is some FUD in the market. There's some stuff going on still that I think people have questions on and will probably find the answers to. So hopefully it's not too much more of a rocky, crypto winter, but I don't know. It's kind of spooky.
If we're talking, Alex, you mentioned like a lot of people shifting into like AI, for example. First of all, I consider those the same thing because they are a cheaper way to do something expensive, right? So like, what did crypto really unlock for us? Well, we don't need a bank. Literally, like the building, the tellers, the secretaries, like everything kind of just no more middleman at all. We save all that. What is AI? Just a creative. I don't need a VA. I don't need a designer necessarily as much, maybe. So when you also leverage those on top of each other, that just makes all of the models that we're thinking about kind of break, because now it's not using anything that we saw the last 10 years on these crypto charts, but it has like this ultra enabler kind of stacked on top of it. Which if that's the case, then like in a couple of years, we're not going to be talking about Web3 at all. It's just going to literally be the new standard that we're in. All this drama is going to kind of subside a little bit, and prices are going to be way less volatile. I'm like talking so macro here, so forgive me for I'm speculating out the wazoo here, but I mean, it's fun.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good observation, right? It's like these are the tools of the future, and how we build these together, they're going to interact. It's, inevitable. And whoever does that, it's going to be a pretty cool product. Like I myself, crypto has been a cool use case. Like I've been experimenting even more with like USDC and more of the like wallet to wallet payments and stuff like that. And then going back to like a traditional bank is terrible. So like Chat GPT and stuff like that, and then going back to Google, it's the same deal, right? Like once you see these new things and the generation gets brought up in it, nobody's going back to the old way. And it's going to be pretty cool to see how these things get actioned into, more and more use cases as we go forward.
Can I ask both of you, what does your LinkedIn feel like right now? Like you're doing your morning scroll. I'm sure you're seeing layoffs, but what's the sentiment you're seeing on LinkedIn right now?
Hubris.
It's a weird mix. And I mean, me being a recruiter, I try to connect with everybody. So, I mean, it's a mix of people I have recruited that have gotten laid off, Coinbase being one of them. Large portion got swiped in that. But people are getting jobs. So it's like every 2 layoff posts, you'll get I'm starting a new opportunity job. And then some of them, people are just leaving. Like I've seen a few posts where people are like, I just need to take some time. I want to spend a couple months with my family or work on my side project, and they are just deciding to exit the craziness in the market and the impending layoffs. So it's very weird. I try to engage as much as possible and share and stuff like that, but it's getting pretty overwhelming with how many people are hitting the market.
Yeah, I'd say like 1 out of every 4 posts on my LinkedIn is somebody that just got let go, somebody announcing a layoff. But on the flip side, from all of my contacts that are in the Web3 space, I don't feel the negativity about it though. Like versus Twitter, I open it and it's pretty negative right now. Yeah. Yeah, like the job seekers on LinkedIn, there's still a bit of optimism. I don't feel anybody's like going to LinkedIn to write a long post about how angry they are at the Web3 space, but you go to Twitter and somebody's written an entire thread, and they're not holding anything back.
I think the sentiment of it is just, it's weird. I think, Alex, you put it nicely by just saying it's weird, because it's like, you're right. It's like for people are getting fired and getting exciting new jobs. I think what we're really noticing is just a shift in the wealth, right? I mean, the institutions are falling, the money's moving, the people are moving along with it. And like, from the outside looking in, it's like, what the heck is going on, right? Like my graduating class, like a dozen of them went off to the big four, and like now none of them are like anything. It's just, everything is just, the standard's broken. Everything is just a little different, and looking at it it's weird.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing too that has become less of, I don't know, red flag's not the right word, but like when I first started in recruiting, if you were to post about being laid off, like it was a huge deal, right? Like you never wanted to tell anybody that you got laid off. It was something you kept very close to the chest and with your family. You would never post it on Facebook or LinkedIn, but I feel like that's changed. Yeah. Well, I feel like now it's people post it and they are reflecting, right? Like they do want to reflect on the opportunity, thank the people that they met. And it's a good opportunity to let other people know you're on the market. Like, I think that's what's changed about LinkedIn, is that you can be a little bit more personable with what you're saying and be honest with the situation. And the engagement is pretty good. I mean, if you post about your layoff, people are sharing, people are sending links to jobs. I mean, recruiters like myself are seeing it. So it's working. I think Twitter, if it did a more positive approach, it would probably end some better results more than just kind of a vent. But again, there's places for each person to vent different things. So maybe be positive on LinkedIn because that's your professional side. Be as positive as you can on Twitter. But I get it. Look, it's frustrating, right? Like you take a job hoping that it's going to be forever, or you make good money, or it IPOs and it doesn't work out. I get it. It's frustrating. But I mean, that kind of segues into the next one a little bit in terms of kind of like crypto culture, right, Lacey?
Yeah, I'm opening up this one. Jenna Pilgrim. That's the one you're talking about?
Yes.
All right. So let's see. Jenna Pilgrim's piece on building teams. This person's posting speaks to our first candidate approach and why it's instrumental for crypto in her Coindesk op-ed piece. How we build our team matters. Give it a read here.
I think one of the sentiments that she kind of got into was, it was almost like, it was basically saying like crypto people are getting a bad rap, right? So, I mean, there's, some things in our industry where even just the other day, I was texting a friend who comes a little bit more from the TradFi world, and he was like totally distracted, would not listen to anything that I was saying, just getting mad at the fact that like I was in a Zoom with other people that had like an NFT as their profile picture. He's like, you guys are in finance, you should be more professional. And so stuff like that. And I think overall what Jenna's getting at here, I did enjoy the piece. I think she gets into some interesting kind of ideas here. But really, her ending of it was like, just take the meeting. Like, we're all people in crypto are not like any different. It was almost like weird talking in like a way where like, what are crypto people like damaged goods, right? And I think that, she's almost speaking to the people that are just not taking it seriously, right? Like, this is an emerging market. It's not what you think it is. And like, just take the meeting, get in front of some of these people and see what they have to say, because ultimately, it's money, right? We're all on the same side. I mean, the fact that we ended up with like these cults of like different money and like all these different things, it's ridiculous, and it's all going to consolidate at the end of the day anyway. So what are we doing? Just let's get ahead of it.
Have you noticed people on your LinkedIn saying that they're moving out of Web3 and back into Web2?
A few. I mean, I think I'd say LinkedIn and Twitter, some people are burned, right? They're like, hey, I invested a lot of time. Maybe they had money in platforms that went bad, and maybe it's more of a personal, I just don't want to be in this anymore from a risk perspective. And as well, like in this piece, it kind of talks about like Web3 hired people that were successful in Web2, but may not have really truly wanted to be there, right? They just wanted a new opportunity. Maybe they wanted, more money or title, but they didn't really connect with like the ethos of crypto and like the use case. I mean, even, we talked about all the time, like I worked with people at Coinbase that did not believe in crypto and they hated NFTs, but they worked at the largest exchange. And it was odd because sometimes those are the ones building the products and it may not come, at the end goal, it may not connect with the user if the wrong person's building it. So, I mean, I don't know. It kind of flushes out, who's serious, I think, is part of it. But then again, it's like this weird talent migration, right? Like, what is Web3 and what should we be hiring for? And then if you leave Web3, yeah, you still accomplish stuff, right? Like, even if you were at FTX and it fell apart, you still built a really damn good platform, and you shouldn't be, scalded for what a few people did at the top. Is, I guess, my take. But
yeah, I wonder, I'm just side thought, I'm curious if people are leaving out FTX on their resume if they work there. Well, there was that whole debacle like a few weeks, or when everything went down. So I think it was you, Alex. You were saying that I think it was you. I mean, it might be someone else. That people were removing FTX from their LinkedIn because they were getting threats.
yeah, I've spoken to a few. I mean, it's probably mixed. I think some folks have removed it from LinkedIn or just hid their profiles while this is going on, or they're very careful about where they're applying, right? Like they're not going to go to somewhere that doesn't understand what happened. They're networking very well and trying to do the interview process a little bit differently than just applying. Because I've even talked to folks that I've referred around and they've shared, I'll apply and they call me, but they just want to know about what happened at FTX. They don't really want to hire me. They just want to like pick my brain on if I knew Sam and, did we party in the Bahamas or whatever. Like it is unfortunate.
Well, did you?
And it's the same. Well, I wasn't there, but I cannot release anything that's recruiter candidate confidentiality. I cannot discuss any of those conversations.
Just wink or blink, breathe if it happened. It's okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's weird, right? It's like, I don't know, like it's tough because like same thing, like even if people laid off from Coinbase, right? Like if you were only there for a couple months, people might think that that's, I don't know, a red flag. There still are companies that don't like people that get laid off for some reason, but.
Well, I think on the flip side of all of this, some positive things that are happening in this space. There are definitely some companies that are aggressively staffing up. Like, I don't know if you saw the article in Binance. Binance, of course, is staffing up. I think they're adding like a few dozen open roles right now into the space.
Did see that. Yeah, I mean, Binance, and we had the last podcast with the executive recruiting director, and he shared it as well, right? There's definitely players in the field that have been kind of waiting for this moment. And I mean, seriously, if you've got capital right now and you can hire in a good, streamlined way, there is the top talent from any crypto, Web3, Web2 company on the market. And I feel like a lot of people aren't chasing the dollar anymore. They're really looking for good culture, stability, a product that they can connect with versus, the hype that comes with, the bull market. But I don't know, what have you guys been seeing kind of from applicants? Because you guys have been hiring, talking to a few folks. What have you guys been seeing on the market?
Yeah. Or Nick, do you want to take this? Or
Yeah. It's definitely there's, I think the one thing that I've hired for like some marketing and sales things in the past, and I've never quite seen like a passion. I think we're like entering a weird era. I mean, saying that like, the dollar's being chased a little bit less because people are like a little bit more romantic about what they're working on. It's interesting. It's helpful, right? As if you're hiring, obviously you want someone to kind of like understand the mission and like what the goal is and everything. I can see it go both ways, right? Because like passion doesn't always equal talent, right? So then like you end up sometimes with, I mean, I've seen like crypto organizations where it looks like really highly professional and like high liquidity and everything. And then you see, and it's just like people are like that are not qualified, right? And they just so happen to be in the right place at the right time. So like their passion got them a little bit far, but then like actual ability is, may deter them, right? I mean, some people say that's what's happening with even some crypto exchanges right now being publicly traded, right? I mean, it's possible that they're just in there at the right time and they don't actually last. But I think ultimately, I mean, again, it's all just everything that we're talking about is just like growing pains, right? I mean, in the moment, this is kind of what's happening because it's like a weird kind of shift. But I mean, these things, this is not the last bear market we're going to have, and it's not the last time that people are going to be like wiped out or shoved out if they're not actually supposed to be there. So I guess we kind of just like the market kind of does handle a lot of that for us.
Yeah, I think so. What we're seeing within the Discord right now, it's definitely slow growing. We've been seeing that over the past 2 months, and I think that's a combination of the new security features that we put in. Now you have to go through some hoops to get access into the community, the holiday season, and then the crash. So the entire community really has slowed in growth. And then on the flip side, for the people that are posting jobs, I'm seeing less scammy posts, which is good. Also could do with the new security features, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. And our new auto mod.
I think the sentiment does stand where like I'm even noticing similarly in just like some Telegram groups and whatnot, like the grifters are kind of finding a new thing to grift. And honestly, it's kind of probably becoming a little bit AI. They're just like moving on. But yeah, I mean, that's good, right? It's like maturing of the industry as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't feel like within our Discord, I see a lot of angry people. A lot of angry individuals, that are upset with what's going on in the market, angry about, the interview process being slowed down. Like, I still see a lot of people that come in and are very optimistic about the industry. They're just taking the time to level up their resume. They're asking for courses, they're asking for podcasts to listen to, and they're getting their resume reviewed. And so these are individuals that are very aware of what's going on in the market, understand that there's a lull that's happening right now, but are taking the opportunity to say, hey, while I'm waiting for my next interview, let me continue building my resume. So, there's a silver lining to what's going on in the market.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And I think you guys at Metaintro, we'll include some links, but the resume reviews you guys do like live, right? Like you guys will go through and show applicants and say, here's what we think, here's maybe what you should do, and provide like actionable feedback. And then I watched when you guys were doing like optimizing LinkedIn's and Twitter's, right? Like I feel more people are starting to kind of market themselves and brand themselves, like you guys were saying, into a crypto X person, right? Whether that's a dev, whether that's a researcher, or just your passion, like including that in these contact tools and ways to get noticed, I think is working. I think more people that were struggling before that do these things get noticed because people are looking at it. And I think from a recruiter perspective, I've looked at more resumes, even more in depth recently. That's a lot of applications have gone down just because people are kind of holding still for somewhat, but I'm not super pushed all the time to hire super fast like I was before. So for recruiters, they're probably looking a little bit harder and raising the bar. So having those things, I think, really helps you, like you said, brand yourself and stand above. So we'll include those links. But if you guys are listening and want some advice, they do that, I think, Wednesdays.
Yeah. It's a new thing. We're calling it Web3 Wednesdays. And every Wednesday, we've been picking a new topic to go live with. So whether it's like cover letters, looking at resumes, finding jobs on crypto Twitter, we've been finding new and fun topics to talk about each week on live. So definitely tune into the next one. Live, the event details for our lives are always posted in our Discord. So I think with that, do you want to hop into the fire round?
Oh boy. Yes, the fire round. With no prep, by the way, for
with
anybody
no
that's
prep
watching or listening.
Well, first I have to show you my mug. It says, yes, I work for a crypto company. And it gets hot. Or when it gets hot, it turns a different color. So that's why it's turning.
Oh, so like we don't know your true colors until you pour the coffee and then...
Do you just bring that with you everywhere you go, just so people
I do.
they know?
We're testing out new swag. that people can earn when they refer people to our newsletter or to our Discord. And one of the swag items is a mug that says, "Yes, I work for a crypto company." So that will be live soon. Yeah, it's I don't want to reveal too much about what's on the swag lineup, but there's some really good stuff. So
I can attest. I mean,
coming soon.
Lacey definitely is putting like this is like some good swag from what I'm hearing. I want that mug too. I need to replace my Instagram mug.
Hey, listen, I know I'm not officially part of the Metaintro team, but I need some of that swag that I can rock around. I love some free swag.
Okay, so ready to dive in. All right, so quick fire round. The premise of this is that I'm going to shoot out 4 words, and you have to give me your complete, candid thought on that word. Doesn't have to be a long answer, just what your initial reaction to that word is. Ready?
Okay.
Are you sure?
Who's first? Can Nick go first?
I'll go first.
Nick, you can go first. Okay. Okay. Word number 1, resumes.
Job.
Give me something more. Give me what, just given the context of what's going on in the market right now. When I say resumes and you're thinking about the context of what's going on, the market, how are you feeling? So let me give it to you again.
Mm-hmm.
Resumes.
Unqualified.
Shit.
I'm going to say antiquated.
Okay. Recruiters. Nick?
Middleman.
Don't think too hard.
Middleman? What? I'll go a little different. Entry point.
I feel like we are in totally separate trains of thought.
Totally different.
Well, I'm a recruiter, so I'm a little biased to most of this, but
yeah, I feel like also going back to like the LinkedIn conversation, there are a ton of openings for recruiters at these companies right now.
yeah, weirdly enough, I mean, most of who you're seeing getting laid off is a mixture of HR and recruiting, but there are a lot of openings. So it's, if you look, some show it, but if you look at the application through LinkedIn, sometimes it shows you how many applicants. Bull market used to be 10, 15. They were doing a lot of sourcing. Now it's like 700 plus. Like they are blasted. And it's all the recruiters from Tesla, Microsoft, Amazon. Like you're really going up against some really heavy hitters. So.
Ready for the next word?
No, but yeah.
All right. Degens.
APY.
Yield, well, 2 words, yield farming, or just farming of any sort.
Why do you say that?
It's still, I remember that period, and there's still some of that.
I'm still doing it every day, Alex.
You'll still, I was going to say, I know there's some people that do it. I know there's a whole system to it, but man, I tell you what, for someone that hasn't dove into that, when I see some of these things, I'm like, how in the world? But I'm also jealous of that because they see some of the returns and what people are making, and I'm like, that would be nice. So maybe I'll have to connect with you, Nick, on a tutorial.
I'd love to.
Not financial advice.
Of course not.
All right, last one. 2023.
Optimistic.
I'm going pessimistic.
Ooh.
I hate to do. I know.
You got to put a short on me.
My 2023 personal resolutions were to be positive and patient, but I mean, in the professional world, you got to be realistic sometimes. And I think there are going to be some more dominoes to fall, whether that's crypto, the economy, politics, whatever. It just seems like there is a lot going on. So my recommendation I've been making to people is if you're in a stable place, try to write it out. You know, you gotta find happiness. But as well, if you're searching, get ready for a fight because there's some really, really experienced people out there. So sharpen up your resume, optimize your LinkedIn, get ready to put your best self forward because bar's getting higher and higher with how limited the spots are. So, God, it sounds so pessimistic when I say
So
it.
pessimistic. Well, okay, so what
Somebody
we'll
had to do
what we'll do is at the end of this year, we'll revisit these 4 words and we'll see if there's like a different answer, just given the context of the past year. So who knows? Okay, well, is there anything else that we want to call out for this episode?
I think if you're in Web3, then you're still going to be able to get hired, right? Like it's slowing down, but it's absolutely not stopping. And we can see from the charts that money's still flowing. There's always opportunity.
Yeah, I'd say the same. Just hang in there, right? I mean, this happens in every new market, new technology. Like inevitably, it goes up, it goes down, but the the building continues. I know that's such an overused term, but it really is. Like I'm excited to look back, kind of wear this as a badge of honor, as surviving the winter, like some people talk about. And it's good experience, right? Like if you can make it through this and come out on the other side, there is going to be a lot of companies that really value that, as well as I think just a good experience for anybody to have. So yeah, hang in there from the pessimistic recruiter. Did change
All
my
right.
Twitter handle.
Well, I think this was a good episode. So I guess this upcoming season, who knows what will happen? Maybe we'll get some more recruiters onto the pod. Maybe there's some things that we'll talk about that come up in the news for anything that's hiring related. But we're open. So if you're listening and you have suggestions of what you'd love to hear us talk about, suggestions for guests, we are all ears. Just head to our Discord and open up a ticket. And who knows, maybe the next episode will be dictated by our audience.
Let us know. Yeah.
I like it.
Cool. Do you want to sign us off, Alex?
Yeah, no, again, thanks everybody for listening. If you're listening, definitely subscribe. We're on all major podcast platforms. We've got audio and video. So like Lacey said, chime in, give us some feedback. Let us know what you want to see through any of these channels or the Metaintro Discord. And we'll see you next week for episode 7, TBD on what that is, but we've got some exciting stuff planned. So we appreciate you and look forward to seeing you around the recruiting-ish hiring world.
So long, guys.